to be in this place. But listen, until you give permission to allow God to use your current location, you'll never come to that place where your eyes are opened up to the eternal destination, the future destination he has for your life. And again, this is a challenge because I don't like here. I don't want to be here. This place is horrible. I don't like where I'm at. And again, I love God's response to it when Moses starts, talking about and referencing how he is here. He's in this moment. He's in this place I don't want to be in. And God goes on to call the horrible place holy place. See, listen, and this is key for us, and a little side topic, but I think relevant for this is that, listen, one of the quickest ways that God wants to, when he wants to change your perspective, elevate your perspective, it starts with our words. It starts with our words. It starts with what we're calling our here. See, God won't call you there until you change what you call here. And some of us, we get so fixated on the frustration of the moment, of where we hate that we're at. And again, I'm not talking about geographical location. Again, this can be in your relationship. This can be in your career. This can be your place in life. But here's what I know. As long as you're cursing the ground that you stand on, God can't bless it. As long as you're constantly cursing, as long as constantly complaining, constantly whining, God, I don't understand. I'm so frustrated. I hate this place. I hate this job. I'm disgusted with this relationship. As long as you keep cursing the ground, God can't bless it. Your words matter, and especially when it comes to that aspect of seeing God show up in your life. Because I don't know if you've had this experience, but I know in my life, oftentimes, and this might surprise you, but every once in a while, my wife and I will get in an argument, or I like to say just, I don't know, intense fellowship, and when we're in those moments of intense fellowship, right? If I'm honest, when we're arguing about something, I'm not actually listening to what she's saying. No matter how right she is, I'm thinking of my comeback. I'm thinking of my situation. I'm thinking of what I'm going to say. And so many of us, we get so caught up in just complaining and being frustrated and consumed about how horrible Horeb is, that even if God showed up, we wouldn't see it. Even if God began to speak, we couldn't hear it because we're just so consumed with complaining and being frustrated with here. And listen, it's because of that. Listen, I think one of the most biggest kind of questions you can ask yourself this week, especially if you want to take this prayer serious and really walk in this prayer, is when you think of your current situation, do you refer to it as holy ground or hellish ground? Do you refer to it as holy ground or hellish ground? See, God said, Moses, look, you got to understand, you're calling it the wrong thing. You're calling it the wrong thing. And I know you don't like it. And listen, here's where the pushback comes. And I get it. Like, you don't understand just how horrible my Horeb is. You don't understand just how bad my relationship is. You don't understand how miserable my job is. You don't understand how corrupt my boss is. But listen, you got to understand something about what makes holy ground holy. See what makes holy ground holy, why God called the horrible Horeb holy ground that Moses was standing on, is because what makes your current location a holy place is not because it's a good spot, not because your job's so great, not because everything's going right in your life, not because it's in some scenic place. What makes the ground holy ground is that God is there. So what makes the ground holy ground is his presence is in that place. His presence is in a season. That's what makes it a holy season. And here's the thing. See, God can show up anywhere. See, you got to understand that God can turn any piece of dirt into holy ground. He can turn any disappointment into a holy place. Even the most painful, even the most disappointing, God can take that and redeem it and use it and pour out his grace and pour out his mercy. I like how Romans 8:28 puts it. It says, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who've been called according to his purpose. I love that statement. We know in all things God works. All things. Notice in all things, not in good things, not just in happy things, not in perfect things, not in just spiritual things, not just in church things. In all things God works. In all things God works. Now, and that doesn't mean that God is necessarily happy about our here, or like he takes any joy when we're in a horrible Horeb. in a situation that is painful, a situation that's frustrating, a situation we don't want to be in. But what he's reminding us through all this is that even in your pain, God says, listen, I work. Because listen, God's a builder. God is a builder, and God's ability to build is never limited by the resources available to him. You and I, we got to go build a house, we need lumber. We want to build a skyscraper, we need steel. But God in the beginning showed us that he can take nothing and make something, so he's not limited by what you've got. He can work in all things. In all things he's at work. In all things he's there, which means every place I step into, every season I walk in can be a holy ground, can be a holy season. If he's here, it's holy. And here's why this matters, and real quick, is that when you allow him to elevate your perspective, even about horrible Horeb, to see it as not simply a place that's frustrating and a place you want to get out of, but as holy ground, a place that God can show up and God can show off in and through your life. When we change our perspective, we allow him to elevate our perspective, what we come to find is real quick kind of three areas that he kind of reveals our purpose in. When we learn to lift our perspective beyond just here, he learns to show, he shows us really where there is, the purpose, the greater purpose that he has in our lives. And he does it in three ways. He reveals his purpose in our life. Even in this horrible Horeb, when we learn to lift our perspective and allow him to turn into holy ground, he reveals to us, it shows us a people, a problem, and a plan. A people, a problem, and a plan. So first, real quick here, one is that when we learn to lift our perspective, rather than just complain, rather than just whine, oh God, get me out of here, but see, pray that prayer, God, show me your glory, show me the value, show me the purpose, show me the significance of this season right here. Listen, I'm telling you, he's going to reveal some people in your life. See, it's like Moses, hey, look, in fact, we see this in verse 7. He's like Moses, hey, look, he reveals, the moment Moses lifts his perspective, he reveals some people that, hey, look, I know you haven't been thinking about in a long time. It's been over 40 years since you've thought of these people. But I've seen some people who are hurting. I've seen some people and some faces who are crying. And listen, I want you to go and I want you to help be a part and be an answer to their prayer. And so he reveals this people. And here's what's key about this and why it's so important that we get this. And the key truth is that before God will take you from here to there, you got to make a commitment to bring somebody else with you. Before God will take you from here to there, you got to make a commitment to bring somebody else with you. See, he'll put some people in your life. When you learn to lift your perspective and not just see horrible Horeb as a place to escape, but actually as holy ground, a place of purpose, a place of significance, he's going to open your eyes up to a coworker, to a neighbor, to somebody around you that he wants you to reach out to, that he wants you to care for, he wants you to pray for, he wants you to maybe invite to church. One thing or another, he wants you to be invested in. And that's kind of what he's getting across to Moses, is Moses ultimately, he'll get out of this desert, he'll get out of this horrible situation, but it's only when he decides that he's going to bring some people with him. Only when he decides that listen, I'm not going to get out of here alone. There's purpose here, there's significance here. God opens his eyes to a people. And again, this can be the challenge. Because let's be honest, when you're in that horrible Horeb, when you're in the place that hurts, a place of pain, a place of loss, a place of grief, a place of frustration, let's be honest, the last thing you're thinking about and the last thing you probably want to do is actually take care of somebody else. Let's be honest here. When you're hurting, when you're in that place, let's be honest, the only thing that's probably going through your mind is, listen, I just want to get out. I just want to get as far away as possible from this disappointing place. I don't like it here. I don't like being on the backside of a desert. I don't like these sheep. I don't like this poop. I don't like this bush. I don't like this mountain. I don't like these Israelites. I don't care about anybody else. When you're in that moment, but you got to get this. The truth is, until you begin to connect with God's purpose for your life that's bigger than you can't actually get out of here for there. See, your ability to go there is connected to your willingness to bring somebody else with you. Or you can put it this way, is that, see, you got to understand your current location connects you with someone else's situation. Your current location connects you with someone else's situation. See, talking about this prayer, show me your glory, show me the purpose in this relationship, show me the purpose in this situation and this place that I'm at, is you got to understand that your pain, even your pain can have value in the hands of God. Like your pain enables you to have empathy for someone else's. Your struggle, your failure enables you to connect with someone else's struggle. See, when I meet you at your 20-year high school reunion, like I might be able to come and talk to you and sit there and tell you how amazing my family is, how amazing a house we got, and how amazing my job is, and all that. And listen, you might be happy for me, probably not, but you might be happy for me. But how many know I can't identify with you when I do that? Like you don't identify with me because I'm here, and the only way I can identify with someone, and I hope that my here can become there, is if somebody else who was here went there. See, because your pain is always connected to your purpose. Your current misery is the foundation of your future ministry. And that's what we see with Moses. See, here's the deal. Moses, you've been walking around this desert for 40 years. You've learned every little watering hole. You've learned every single rest area. You've learned every remote bush that you can find is shade. And here's the thing, Moses, is I'm choosing you. I want you to ultimately lead the nation of Israel out of slavery, out of their horrible horror, out of this oppression of the Egyptians. And listen, the reason I'm choosing you is who better to lead the nation of Israel through 40 years of the desert to get to the promised land than the person who's just spent the past 40 years walking the same paths of that same desert. Who knows every single watering hole, who knows every single rest area, who knows every single little bush that they could find shade and stop and rest. See, you thought that this season was just, man, I'm just wandering around. You thought I was just killing time. You thought that there was nothing good could ever come out of this. And in reality, what I was doing was I was preparing you. What I was doing was equipping you. What I was doing was setting the stage for me to show you my glory, to show off in you and through you, to do something amazing in your life. See, he'll reveal a people. Here's the second quick thing here is he'll also reveal the problem as well. He'll reveal the problem. Look at verse 7. It says, the Lord said, I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I've heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I'm concerned about their suffering. Now here is about the point that Moses, if he's anything like me or like you, is probably like, good, it's about time, God. I'm glad you're finally going to do something about this. I've seen their misery. I've heard their cries. They're in a bad. Glad somebody's going to do something about it. Listen, especially when we talk about this concept of purpose, when we talk about, God, show me your glory. Listen, anytime you say you ought to, the giant mirror from the sky should drop down in front of you. Because here's the thing is that it's so often people will be like, man, the church really should do this, which, by the way, you do know who the church is, right? Like church is not it's you, it's me, it's people, right? See, you got to understand your purpose is the thing you think someone else should do. Most often, your purpose is the thing you think someone else should do. Somebody really should. Somebody really needs to. There's a problem, and somebody should do something about this. Man, somebody really needs to reach out to my coworker. Somebody really needs to talk with my neighbor. Somebody really needs to go help that guy out on the street corner. Hey, listen, maybe the reason you see the problem is because God made you to be the solution. See, so he'll reveal a people, he'll reveal a problem. And this is where the real rubber meets the road. This is why so many of us, and why I say this is such a dangerous prayer, is because he'll also reveal the plan. He'll reveal the plan, which in verse 10 says, so now go, I'm sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. In other words, you're right. Yeah, Moses, someone should do something about that. And that someone is you. You're the one I'm going to use. Your situation, your past, your present, your situation, I'm going to use to work in and through you to help lead a nation of people out of oppression. And of course, I love Moses' response. Exodus 3:11. It's a response that I think so many of us would have in light of that. Moses simply says to God, man, who am I? Right? Or like, whoa, I think you might have the wrong guy here, right? Because talk about a dangerous prayer. Talk about a dangerous prayer to sit there and say, God, yeah, show me your glory. God, show me the purpose in this season. And when we do that, again, he reveals a people, he reveals a problem, and then he reveals that the plan, the solution to the problem he's showing you is you. Man, talk about something that's scary. Talk about something that will get the heartbeat racing a little bit faster. See, that's why Moses goes, man, who am I? Like again, I think you got the wrong guy here. I think you missed the mark. I think you're confused, God. And I love God's response to it. Because he doesn't sit there and kind of get on Moses and yell at Moses like, whoa, like, what are you saying I made a mistake? Like, he could have, totally chastised Moses, put him in his place, but he just simply responds, listen, I know you say, I am I, but listen, God's response to him is simply, I am. See, Exodus 3:14 says, I am who I am. Who am I? And God is like, no, it's not who am I, it's I am who. And I could tell by some of your expressions, like, well, what does that even mean? Like red fish, blue fish. What is that? Like, that makes no sense to me. Like, that's his response. Who am I? And you're just going to come back with, I am who. See, because here's what you got to get. When God calls us, God puts purpose in our heart and life, listen, we never feel qualified. No one that's ever done anything great or significant for God at the time felt qualified. No one, it's never like David was like, oh yeah, it's about time, God. Like, yeah, this is my moment. And Moses, it's like, yeah, finally, No, and so often we try to dismiss it and we think, well, I can't do that. Am I qualified for this? Am I smart enough? Am I good enough? Am I saved enough? Am I holy enough? Who am I? I should do this. Am I? And God's response to am I is again always I am. Not who am I am who. And here's why this matters. Is that so often we get focused on the wrong who. And listen, your purpose is not a product of you. It's not a product of your power and your ability and your qualification. Your purpose, my purpose, it's a product of God. And what I'm going to do through you. It's not about am I good enough? It's about I am is more than enough. And listen, by the way, along those lines, if your purpose, your purpose, it ought to make you ask, am I? Speaking of dangerous, like when God starts to respond and answer that prayer and he starts to reveal to you a people, starts to reveal to you a problem, starts to reveal to you your purpose, listen, your natural response should be, am I? If you're not asking, am I, listen, something's wrong. If God calls you to do something, you're like, oh, I've got this, then that's not God. Because listen, if your purpose isn't too big for you, it's way too small for God. If your purpose isn't too big for you, it's way too small for God. If everything you're doing right now, you feel like, I got this. I can handle these sheep. I'm good with this. Listen, if that's you, I believe God's got more purpose for you. I believe that God brought you here tonight to challenge you to pray this prayer, to have the courage to say, God, show me your glory. Show me your purpose in this season, in this moment, in this job, in this relationship, in this horrible horror. God, help lift my perspective to see it's actually holy ground I'm on. Help reveal to me a people. Help reveal to me a problem. And help me have the courage to be the solution to somebody's problem. To be a part of the plan. To be a part of your mission. And your greater purpose in this world of what you're doing and what you're trying to do in and through our lives. To see people come to know you, Jesus. To find freedom, to find hope, to find deliverance. I want to pray for you tonight, and that's really what I want to pray. There's some of you, when you look at your situation, I mean, if you're honest, it just feels like you're just tracking from one horrible horror to the next. Like, man, Maybe you came in here and you look at your life and like Moses, you think, man, my best days are behind me. When you look at maybe your skills, maybe you look at your gifting, what you've got, it can be easy to sit there and think, man, who am I, God? We think of maybe the place we work and how frustrating it is, or the people we work with and how frustrating it is. And again, if we're not careful, we can get stuck there. And we can get stuck in a horrible heart. We can get stuck on the backside of a desert. And while it's true, certainly, Moses, he could have said no. He could have, just retired.